What happens when you take a guy and lock him in his apartment with literally nothing but a pull-up bar, a Bible, and like a 1928 success manual by Napoleon Hill?
Well, I mean, you'd probably expect a mess, right?
Yeah, exactly. But instead, you get one of the most chaotic and honestly highly effective philosophies on human potential we have seen in a really long time. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are unpacking this highly energetic, totally unfiltered stream of consciousness audio transcript. It's from a show called Wild Thoughts, hosted by this figure who just goes by the name The Big Bang.
It is quite the name, yeah.
Right. And our mission today is to decode how he aggressively blends physical fitness, manifestation, biblical faith, and, early 20th century success literature into this deeply unified worldview.
And I mean, the eclectic nature of it is exactly what makes it so compelling. We are looking at this philosophy of how internal beliefs dictate external reality, but it's delivered by someone who honestly sounds like he's pacing his living room completely out of breath.
Yeah, he really does.
It is just this raw look at what happens when you strip away all the polish of modern self-help and focus entirely on the bare mechanics of getting things done.
Okay, let's unpack this because before we can change the world, this source argues that we have to master our own immediate physical and mental space.
Right, the foundation.
Exactly. We have to start with the literal foundation, the body.
Hmm.
At the very beginning of the transcript, the Big Bang mentions he delayed recording his session. Like he was supposed to start at 6:20 p.m., but he pushed it to 7:00 t.m.
Mhm.
for a reason that is incredibly mundane, but it sets up his entire philosophy.
Yeah, he pushed the recording back simply so he could do his daily at-home physical routine. I mean, he details doing a couple hundred push-ups, 100 squats, some sit-ups, and then eating this highly specific snack.
Oh, right, the fruit.
Yeah, an apple, some grapes, and bananas.
All while actively avoiding a traditional gym. He vehemently refuses to go to crowded gyms.
He really hates them.
He does. He says there are too many people doing what he calls weird stuff, and he just prefers the absolute simplicity of his own apartment, maybe a pull-up bar, and his own floor.
And he anchors this entire physical routine to a core mantra, right? One that he claims to write down in literally all of his notebooks.
Yes, make your life easy.
And make your life easy is the foundational pillar here. It is so crucial to understand that he isn't using easy as a synonym for, like, being lazy.
Right, because doing hundreds of squats in your living room is definitely not lazy.
Exactly. He is talking about the aggressive elimination of friction. By controlling his immediate environment, he removes the barriers to entry. I mean, think about the cognitive load of a traditional workout.
That's a lot.
It is. You have to pack a bag, commute in traffic, navigate the weird social dynamics of a crowded gym, wait for equipment, and then drive home.
Every single one of those steps requires a micro decision.
Yes, and every single decision drains your willpower.
So you are basically burning mental bandwidth before you even lift a weight. It's like he's building a home gym for the soul.
Oh, I like that phrasing. Yeah, a home gym for the soul. By stripping away that external friction, he preserves his cognitive energy for actual growth. He is taking absolute ownership of his environment so he can take ownership of his personal evolution.
Which introduces this brilliant linguistic shift he makes. He argues we shouldn't view ourselves as human beings.
Right, the being versus becoming concept.
Exactly. We are human becomings. Because a being sounds static. It
Yeah.
implies you are a finished product just sitting there. But a human becoming implies perpetual motion. You are a trajectory.
And he pairs this with the idea that every person possesses a God mind or a leader mind.
Yeah, the language we use to define ourselves totally dictates the boundaries of our potential. If you label yourself a static being, your failures feel permanent.
But if you are becoming, a failure is just, well, it's just a data point on a trajectory of growth.
Right. It keeps you moving.
This really sets the stage for the next layer of his philosophy. Like, how do we actually steer that trajectory? If you've eliminated the friction in your apartment and you see yourself as a becoming, what is the actual mechanism for change?
Well, the source points to the literal words we speak out loud. And to explain this, he leans heavily into his interpretation of biblical scripture, specifically Mark 11:22 through 24.
Those are the verses about having absolute faith that can move mountains.
Exactly. He quotes the mandate that if you speak to a mountain, tell it to throw itself into the sea, and do not doubt in your heart, it will be done.
But he takes a profoundly internal interpretation of that scripture. The mountains are not literal geology.
No, not at all.
They are the internal blockages that paralyze us. He explicitly calls out the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of losing loved ones, and even the fear of death.
Which leads to what I think is the most radical concept in the entire transcript.
Yeah.
He claims that in the universe, there is actually no inherent positive and no inherent negative.
Which is a huge leap.
It is. He says there is only what he calls matter, and there is the alphabet. He defines the alphabet as the made-up words that course through our bodies to create our reality.
It is a complete detachment from the moral weight we assign to our circumstances. I mean, we constantly label events. You lose a client, and you immediately label it an absolute negative.
Right, or you sign a new deal, and you label it a pure positive.
Exactly, but this philosophy suggests stripping away those labels entirely. The lost client is not negative, it is just unshaped matter.
Okay, I have to hit pause here and push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because stripping moral weight sounds great in a philosophical vacuum, but positive self-talk doesn't pay the rent. If you are facing eviction or you can't feed your family, that isn't just raw matter. That is an objective crisis. So is it dangerously reductive to say there is no positive or negative, just the alphabet? Can repeating made-up words really alter material reality?
What's fascinating here is I hear that skepticism, but let's look at the actual mechanism of how this works neurologically. It's not about ignoring a crisis. It's about how your brain processes the crisis.
Okay, how so?
Well, we have this network of neurons in the brain called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. It basically acts as a biological filter for the millions of bits of information we process every single second.
Right, it filters out the noise.
Exactly. So if you use your alphabet to constantly label your financial situation as an insurmountable negative crisis, you program your RAS to filter for threats. You become hyperfixated on the danger, which induces panic and literally limits your peripheral vision for actual solutions.
Ah, so it's essentially a biological spam filter.
Yeah.
And you were telling it to only let the spam through.
Exactly the opposite of what you want. But if you strip away the negative label and view the threat simply as neutral matter, and you use your alphabet to dictate a new reality like saying, I am a human becoming who generates value, you reprogram the RAS.
Your brain stops looking for threats.
Yes, and it starts filtering for leverageable opportunities. The external situation hasn't changed at all, but your biological mechanism for navigating it has been completely rewired. You aren't just thinking good thoughts, you are literally sculpting the raw matter of your circumstances using your words as the tool.
Wow, okay. But wielding that alphabet effectively requires an immense amount of focus. I mean, if your words are literally shaping matter, you cannot afford a cluttered, undisciplined mind.
You really can't.
And the source seems to recognize this, because right in the middle of this high-energy delivery, he completely shifts gears. He stops the philosophical rant and guides the listener to a highly structured sitting meditation.
Yeah, he credits it to a previous session taught by someone named Saif Lana.
Right, and the instructions are incredibly specific and grounded. You sit in a stable, upright, and comfortable position. You close your eyes, and you place your entire attention on the sensation of your breath.
Which is pretty standard mindfulness practice so far.
True, but the crucial instruction, and honestly the part that completely shifts the paradigm of meditation for me, is how he handles distractions.
This is the best part.
He acknowledges that you will inevitably notice background thoughts. You will remember an awkward conversation from 5 years ago. You will get the physical impulse to fidget. But his instruction is not to fight those impulses, but to gently refrain from engaging, just allowing them to fade away.
And then comes the real breakthrough.
Yes. When you finally realize your attention has gone astray, you gently bring it back, and this is key, you congratulate yourself for this mini awakening to the present moment.
It's such a subtle shift, but it's huge.
I just love this concept. I immediately thought of it like training a puppy. If a puppy wanders out of the yard and you scream at it and punish it when it finally comes back to the porch, it is never going to want to come back to you.
No, it'll just be terrified.
Exactly. You have to reward the puppy for returning to the center.
The puppy analogy is perfect because it highlights the dopamine loop we were trying to create. Most people quit meditation because they feel like they are constantly failing.
Because their mind wanders.
Right. Their mind wanders, they realize it, and they experience this micro spike of cortisol, stress and shame because they couldn't stay focused. They are punishing the puppy.
So they associate meditation with the feeling of failure.
Exactly. But by framing the return to the breath as a mini awakening worthy of congratulations, you replace the cortisol spike with a dopamine hit. You are positively reinforcing the exact mental discipline you need.
Which builds the exact mental discipline required to use your words effectively.
Yes, you are training the neural pathways to actually enjoy the process of catching your own distractions. And that discipline is the prerequisite for wielding your alphabet. If you haven't trained your mind to catch its own wandering thoughts, you will unconsciously start using your alphabet to create negative matter out of pure anxiety.
That makes total sense. But here's where it gets really interesting, but also a bit contradictory. There is a massive tension building in this philosophy.
Oh, the ambition versus peace tension.
Exactly. If I am sitting in my apartment, doing my squats, avoiding the crowded gym, and congratulating my wandering mind for its mini awakenings, don't I just become incredibly complacent?
It's a fair question.
Right. We've built this beautiful, peaceful internal ecosystem where life is easy. But how does that Zen state square with the drive to actually build wealth and, leave a legacy?
To answer that, the source executes this fascinating pivot away from internal meditation and dives straight into human history. He actually pulls from page 2 and 3 of Napoleon Hill's Law of Success.
Which sounds like a very strange detour for a guy doing apartment push-ups.
It does, but he traces human ambition through the evolution of transportation to make his point.
Oh, yeah, he outlines this incredible progression. He starts with humanity just walking in the dirt.
Yeah.
Then we hitch a bullock to a wagon to escape the toil of pulling a load.
Then we usher in the stagecoach for utility.
Right, and from the stagecoach, we build the crude locomotive.
Mm.
From the locomotive, we invent automobiles traveling at 75 miles per hour.
And he doesn't stop there. He notes that humanity looked at the birds and decided the Earth itself was just too slow. So we mastered the air, flying at 150 miles per hour.
And eventually, we harnessed what Hill calls the ether to send words around the globe instantaneously via radio.
He lays out this timeline to highlight the fundamental law that nothing is permanent except change.
But the real gut punch is his identification of the catalyst for every single one of those historical leaps. It boils down to two simple words.
Not satisfied.
Not satisfied.
The stagecoach didn't become a locomotive because people were content. The entire engine of human progress is fueled by dissatisfaction. He even dares the listener to use their imagination to invent the next mode of transportation, like a flying car, challenging them to be the one who refuses to accept current limits.
But how do we reconcile this? For the first half of this deep dive, the ultimate mantra was make your life easy, protect your peace. But now, the defining characteristic of progress is a perpetual state of being not satisfied. How do you harmonize an easy life with a dissatisfied ambition?
It requires separating your internal baseline from your external output. Make your life easy applies entirely to your daily friction and emotional state.
So keeping your inner world calm.
Exactly. You keep it uncluttered and highly efficient. You protect your peace so you don't burn out on trivial things like gym commutes. But being not satisfied applies entirely to your external potential and your contribution to society.
Ah, so the inner peace is what fuels the outer ambition.
That's it. If your daily life is chaotic, you won't have the stamina to build the 150-mile-per-hour airplane. You need the internal calm of the make your life easy philosophy to sustainably fuel the external dissatisfaction. You are not dissatisfied with yourself as a person. You are dissatisfied with the limits of the world around you, and you use your surplus energy to break them.
Okay, but to make sure that dissatisfaction doesn't just turn into, bitter complaining, the source provides a blueprint. He lays out a highly structured, almost mathematical formula to ensure this energy leads to tangible success.
He calls it a self-confidence formula, and it is remarkably demanding.
It really is. It requires an intense daily commitment. The first step is 30 minutes of deep daily concentration focused solely on visualizing the exact person you intend to become.
And immediately following that, another 10 minutes every single day where you literally demand of yourself the development of the necessary self-confidence to achieve it.
That is 40 minutes of highly directed, aggressive internal focus. I mean, that takes an immense cognitive toll. Demanding confidence isn't just wishing for it. It sounds like a brutal internal negotiation where you just refuse to take no for an answer from your own doubts.
It forces you to operationalize the alphabet we discussed earlier. You are spending 40 minutes actively forging new matter.
Wow, yeah.
Furthermore, he insists on having a clear, written, 5-year definite purpose. This isn't just a vague vision board. He explicitly states you must set an exact price for the services you intend to render to the world over those 5 years.
And that brings us to the brilliant paradox here. For all the wild, unfiltered, Big Bang energy of the source material, the ultimate prescription is incredibly disciplined.
It is intensely structured.
Right. And there's a moral anchor to this entire framework, too. He states clearly that wealth and position cannot endure unless they are built upon truth and justice. You must induce others to serve you by first serving them.
Yes, you have to actively eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, and cynicism from your heart, because a negative attitude toward humanity can never bring success.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's just amazing how it emerges.
Oh, definitely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the Big Bang is taking these ethereal concepts of manifestation, biblical faith, the power of the alphabet, and slamming them into a rigid structure of setting a price, serving others, and signing up to a 5-year.
It proves that manifestation without practical, grounded service to others is entirely empty.
Exactly. You cannot just think your way to a legacy. You have to combine the God mind with the physical effort of moving the matter to benefit someone other than yourself.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Think about the friction in your morning routine, or the way you talk to yourself when a project falls apart. We've gone from doing squats in an apartment to realizing we are human becomings, equipped with an alphabet that programs our biological filters to shape reality.
We really covered a lot of ground.
We did. We've learned that when your mind wanders and you don't punish the puppy, you congratulate it for the mini awakening, building those neural pathways for resilience. And most importantly, we learned that the feeling of dissatisfaction isn't a disease you need to cure with more meditation.
No, it's the engine.
Exactly. It is the exact engine that builds the future, provided you grounded in a concrete plan to serve others. You don't need a crowded gym or a complicated life to start. You just need your words, a bit of faith, and clarity on your 5-year purpose.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought on that. If the feeling of being not satisfied is the exact engine that took humanity from walking in the dirt to flying through the air, what if that nagging frustration you feel about your own career or your own limits right now isn't a negative emotion to be suppressed?
Oh, that's a great reframe.
What if it is the exact unrefined fuel you need to build your own airplane? The only question left is, what will you choose to do with your dissatisfaction today?
That is a phenomenal question to leave off on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the wild, structured chaos of the Big Bang. Keep questioning the matter around you, keep refining your alphabet, and we will see you next time.